Hello little people in my computer. Today we're going to look at a couple of things. First, I've got some strange AI pictures of pianos that Grok made me. As you can see from all of my logos and pictures and backgrounds, I've been using Grok a lot. And it comes up with a pretty decent piano. I mean, it looks alright at first glance, but if you look a little closer, you've got the lid prop on the wrong side of the piano. It should be over here. And the keys, they just never quite get the keys right. You got some double twos, and then threes. There should be 2, 3. This one, however, the lid's on the complete wrong side of the piano. You may not notice that, but I do. This one looks pretty good. A couple of things, of course, the pattern of the keys is not right, and that fall board, it just doesn't look right. The hinge isn't right. And then there's this beauty. 2 keyboards. Look at this. I just asked for a red piano. How would those strings work? It's cool, but weird. The next thing I want to look at is this picture that somebody sent me. It's got a knot right in the middle of it, tied in a string. And it says, "What kind of Celtic knot is this? Really? Is this a solution? I'm scared to tune it." Why, yes, of course, it is actually a solution. And you should not be afraid to tune it. It's called a splice. You splice together 2 ends of the wire. If it's in a particular spot, you can do this. And it's actually stronger than the original string. Let me show you how. First thing I gotta do is take my stringing tools out of my cabinet, put them on my bench. I'm using gauge 16 wire, just kind of an average, a little bit on the heavy side. Some tuning pins we're gonna need. I drilled a hole in a 2x4. I'm gonna use tuning pin drill. I'm going to use a 2x4 to kind of use as a little stringing jig. So we got a string hook, coil lifter, my tuning coil winder, that's another coil lifter, my trusty dusty wrench, a socket, and that's my 2x4. I'm going to drive 2 pins in it, one upside down. I couldn't find my hitch pins, of course, but this is what we used to use in school. So I'm going to put that in there, so now I can string it up. And it's a little pretend string. Gotta use your safety glasses. This wire is extremely dangerous. This is high carbon steel. And it is wild. You got to control both ends of it at all times. This is my hitch pin. Oops, I forgot a couple of tools in my box there. So I'm going to pull out a length of wire. Use my round nose pliers. Make a single loop end. Grab onto that. This is a cool tool that I'll have to talk about at some point. A little double use tool. I'm going to coil my wire around. This is like a single string. A lot of pianos, some of them have single strings for the whole way. At least some of them have one on each end of each section, and the bass strings are single wires. So I'm going to simulate a break in the middle there. And I'm going to tie my splice loops. Cut off an appropriate length, controlling both ends of the wire with my fingers as I cut it. So you need to do 1 to you loop and 1 away from you. So you can see as I'm turning this, I'm going away from me. I'm going to put that loop on the same side on both. I'm going to bend it inwards a little bit so that they really match up. Put my end back on the hitch pin, clamp it down. Usually I use a clamp, but right now I just got a clothespin, so that's what's working. There's going to be 1 to me loop. I'm going to put the loop on the same side I just did and bend it towards that side, just a little bit. Now I'm going to hook that wire, since it's already attached at one side. Make sure I do it the right way so that they come together and line up across each other. And so I'm going to feed the other end into there. Make sure that they line up, come together in a nice little figure 8 pattern. I'm going to make my coil using a dummy tuning pin, just extra ones laying around. Make sure I get it the right length. I'm going to uncoil it from that and slip it over the pin. This is just how I would do it inside of somebody's piano. And pull it so I can get it over the pin. Line up with the Beckett hole. Get the Beckett inside of there. I'm going to use a little brass rod here, and since the steel is harder than the brass, it's safe to use directly on the strings. This is something I had to make myself. I've got a length of brass and I cut it as I need it, and that allows me to do things manipulating the wire. And there's my coil lifter. You want to make sure you got a nice tight coil of string. You don't want it to look sloppy. You're a professional. So you can see my splice tightening up. It looks really good. It took me a few tries to get this right because it had been so many years since I had done it. But practice makes perfect. Look at that. Get a nice little close-up here. We got a string. Oh yeah, looks good. I might even trim some of those edges a little bit. There's my coil, the Beckett, and the Beckett hole through the tuning pin on a little 2x4. That's an instrument now. So I'm going to clean up the end of this single loop with my brass. You can see I sanded that with my belt sander to get it at an angle. This is brass, it just sanded right down. And so I'm just cleaning up the end of this. If it was somebody's piano, obviously I would clip that really long end, and there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me splice a wire. Hope you learned something, and I hope you really enjoyed those AI pianos. There's definitely going to be more of those to come. So make sure you like and subscribe. Check the description area below, and come back for more at Durante's House of Music.